You'd be shocked how often I see this. Someone gets hurt, hires a lawyer, and ends up with less money in their pocket than if they'd handled the claim alone. They think they're protecting themselves, but no one tells them how the wrong fee structure, the wrong lawyer, or even the wrong timing can drain their payout before they ever see a dime. I'm Doug Burnetti. I've been practicing personal injury law in Florida for over 30 years, and I've reviewed hundreds of these cases firsthand. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly how and when hiring a lawyer can hurt your settlement, and how to protect yourself from making the same mistakes, so that you keep what's rightfully yours, avoid getting steamrolled by fees, and don't end up wishing you'd never hired help in the first place. Let's get right into it. You clicked on this video because you want to know when hiring a lawyer actually hurts your payout in a Florida personal injury case. Here's something you might not expect to hear from a personal injury lawyer. You shouldn't just hire any lawyer. The wrong choice can eat right into your settlement and sometimes even leave you worse off than if you'd handled the claim yourself. Why does this happen? There are a few key reasons, and I'm going to break them down for you with real practical examples that I've seen here in Florida. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to protect your payout. Lawyers who chase every case, jack of all trades, master of none. There are a lot of lawyers in Florida who will take just about any case that walks through the door. Auto accidents, slip and falls, even criminal defense or divorce or business law. Is that really a problem? In personal injury law, I believe it is, yes. And here's why. Florida has its own set of rules for personal injury cases. There are strict deadlines, unique insurance laws like personal injury protection or PIP, and a whole maze of steps to go through. A lawyer who mainly handles divorces or business law might not know the ins and outs of injury claims. That means they can miss key deadlines, like proper documentation for your medical bills or lost wages, or they might not understand how to negotiate with insurance companies, or they might not understand how to help you through the medical treatment part of your case. Let me tell you about a case I saw. A client hired a local lawyer who usually handles wills and real estate closings. That lawyer failed to properly document the client's pain and suffering and didn't gather all the necessary medical records. When the insurance adjuster made an offer, it was only a fraction of what the claim was truly worth. The client ended up settling for way less than they deserved, mainly because their lawyer wasn't experienced in personal injury law. So when you're hiring, ask, how many personal injury cases have you handled in Florida this year? Don't let your payout become a learning experience for your lawyer. The hidden cost of high fees and not understanding fee structures. Most personal injury lawyers in Florida work on a contingent fee basis. That means they only get paid if you win. Typically, they take a percentage of your settlement, but not all fee agreements are created equal, and not all lawyers are completely upfront about what they charge. Here's where you need to be careful. Some lawyers charge higher than average rates. In Florida, the standard contingent fee is 1/3 or 33.33% if the case settles before a lawsuit is actually initiated. And then it goes up to 40% through the trial. If a lawyer tries to charge you more than that, your payout shrinks quickly. Even small differences add up. On a $100,000 settlement, 5% more in fees means $5,000 less in your pocket. Also, watch out for lawyers who tack on extra costs. Normally, under fee agreements, lawyers add the costs associated with handling the case, which is normal. But look for things like administrative fees or the hiring of outside companies for basic tasks that the law firm should be doing. And make sure those don't get passed along to you. However, as I said, law firms can charge you for their costs on top of the contingent fee that are related to the handling of the case. And believe me, those can become thousands of dollars if the case actually goes to trial. I've once had a trial where the costs, and it was a big case, but the costs were over $350,000. That was just our costs. That wasn't the attorney's fee. That's how much we spent to pursue the case. Here's a story I've seen. A woman was thrilled to sell her case for $50,000, but after her lawyer took 40% and charged for a lot of fees and postage, stamps, etc., she only walked away with $25,000. Meanwhile, her friend with a similar claim got $35,000. That's a pretty big difference, and some of that difference had to do with the fact that the lawyer was not a lawyer that normally practiced 100% personal injury law, and therefore therefore, I guess, didn't know how to negotiate the bills and help this person out so that they would get more money out of the $100,000. Beware of these fee agreements and what they provide for, and make sure that the costs are appropriate and that the fees are the right percentage. Always ask for the fee agreement in writing and make sure you understand exactly how much your lawyer will take and what other expenses will come out. If you're not sure, ask for a sample breakdown based on your case. Good fee agreements will have some of that already broken down, like the cost per copy or cost per scan or things like that, so that you can see exactly what's going to be billed. Other not so good fee agreements will just simply say that on top of the fees, we will charge you the costs of pursuing your case or the litigation costs. And that's pretty vague. If I were somebody hiring that law firm, I'd want to know, well, what can those be? Quick settlements. When lawyers settle too fast. This is a common mistake that I see, and it's one that can absolutely kill your payout. Some lawyers rush to settle cases as fast as possible so that they can move on to the next file. Sometimes they aren't willing to fight for the full value, or sometimes they aren't willing to work more or go to trial. That's what we see a lot. There are a lot of law firms that claim to be personal injury law firms, but if you ask them about their trial verdicts, either they can't show you any or they might show you one, maybe. So watch out for those quick settlements. And why does this matter? Because in Florida, the full extent of your injuries or losses might not be clear right away. Sometimes whiplash turns into chronic pain problems. Sometimes you need surgery months after the incident. If your lawyer pushes you to settle before you finish treatment, you're giving up the chance for compensation for those future expenses that are most likely going to occur. Here's a real example. I once spoke to a man who settled his slip and fall claim in Tampa just weeks after the incident. His lawyer was eager to get him paid and convinced him to accept the first offer. At least that's what the client said. 6 months later, he needed back surgery that cost more than the entire settlement, but because he'd already signed the release, he was out of luck. That quick payout ended up costing him a lot of money, thousands of dollars. Remember, once you accept a settlement, you usually can't ask for more, even if your injuries get worse. Don't let a lawyer rush you into a deal just so that they can get you paid early. Poor communication, being left in the dark, hurts your case. You might not think communication affects your payout, but it absolutely does. In fact, not hearing from your lawyer can be the first sign that your case isn't getting the attention it deserves. Here's how bad communication can hurt you. You miss deadlines. Florida has strict time limits like the 2-year statute of limitations for most injury claims and shorter times for certain insurance claims. If your lawyer doesn't keep you informed, you could miss the chance to file at all. Next, you don't know the true value of your claim. Good lawyers check in with their clients about treatment, lost wages, and daily struggles. If you can't reach your lawyer, they aren't likely getting the full story from you, and that means your case might get undervalued when it's time to negotiate. Next, you're pressured into settlement. If you never get answers or updates, you might be persuaded to, quote, just get it over with. That leads to low offers and missed opportunities. I've had clients come to me after being ignored by other firms for months. Their cases were neglected, paperwork was missing, and evidence was lost. In some cases, the insurance company offered much less because nobody was pushing back. You deserve a lawyer who communicates with you, answers your emails, explains what's happening, schedules telephone conferences with you when you want them or when they need them. If you're being left in the dark, your payout is probably suffering. Not having a local Florida expert, why local matters. Personal injury laws can vary from place to place, even within a state as big as Florida. If you hire a lawyer from a different city or worse, a different state, they may not know the judges, adjusters, or medical providers in your area. That can lead to mistakes or missed opportunities. For example, South Florida courts handle cases differently from those in North Florida. Miami juries might award differently than those in Pensacola or Orlando. Even local doctors can play a role in documenting your injuries for maximum value. I've seen out-of-town lawyers try to handle Florida cases remotely from hundreds of miles away. They didn't know which medical providers to reach out to. They didn't understand the local court timelines and rules, and sometimes even missed the local rules. That meant their clients' cases dragged on, or worse, got dismissed for technical reasons. Bottom line, your Florida personal injury case deserves a Florida lawyer who works in your part of the state. In the case of my law firm, we cover the entire state of Florida. How to protect yourself and your payout. What should you do if you want to make sure hiring a lawyer actually helps your payout rather than killing it? First, ask about their experience with Florida personal injury cases, specifically your kind of accident. Next, demand clear, written fee agreements and ask for a breakdown of all costs. Next, avoid lawyers who promise a quick settlement before you're done treating. Next, trust your gut. If you feel like you're not being heard or your questions aren't answered, you're probably right. Next, make sure your lawyer is local or at least regularly handles cases in the area where your case is going to have to be filed. What you just learned and why it matters. You now know the big mistakes people make when choosing a lawyer for a Florida personal injury claim and how those mistakes can kill your payout. We covered everything from high and hidden fees to picking the wrong type of lawyer to being pressured into a fast settlement and even the dangers of hiring someone who isn't a local expert. If you protect yourself from these traps, you give yourself the best shot at a fair recovery. I did want to add, there's a couple of other things you can look at when hiring a lawyer. One, see if the lawyer is board certified in civil trial law. If they are, that means they actually have been to trial many times. In Florida, only 1.5% of the lawyers are board certified civil trial lawyers, and that matters because it shows the insurance company that the lawyer you hired is willing to go try the case. Also, I have a story that could be relevant. I know a law firm in our area that only handled primarily business law and big divorce cases. They would take the personal injury case here and there if they got one. They tried to handle those cases, but would never help the client get to a doctor. They would just say, just treat with your family doctors. That is not in the best interest of the client. The client who has been involved in these types of cases needs help getting to the right doctors because the right doctors who understand injuries from auto accidents can significantly help the client with their injuries and with their case. My point is, make sure the law firm or the lawyer you hire primarily practices personal injury law. Otherwise, you take that kind of risk. But there's one more piece you need to know, and that's timing. If you wait too long to file your claim, even the world's best lawyer can't help you. That's why the next video, how long do I have to file a car accident claim, is absolutely critical. It will save you from losing your rights before you even get started. Click over to that video now. It could mean the difference between a closed door and a full payout. See you over there.